This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm Ben.
And JP's eating food. So he has a family dinner that we don't expect him to miss, but most of you will. So give him a hard time about it. And you can give him a hard time on door_disc_golf or night_owls_pod. And the night_owls_pod is probably the one that he will see the most and interact with. So give him a hard time on that one. With that, doordisc.com, where you can buy all your disc golf needs. And why don't you jump over and check out Casual Relief while you're trying to scroll through some of the disc golf podcasts. And Ben, why don't you take it away from there? Tell them what it's all about.
Casual Relief is the podcast that you don't need to listen to in order. You don't really need to stay up to date on anything. It's myself and a couple of the other guys on the Door Disc Golf team, Matt and Michael, where we just kind of razz each other, have some unhinged banter, talk about kind of just random disc golf topics. Just kind of basically what you do, just hanging out, watching disc golf in your basement or wherever, just put it in podcast form, just kind of having those kind of friendly debates about all things disc golf.
Very nice. So I missed I haven't listened to the last one yet. What was it about?
So we did get into a little bit of a hybrid talk. We talked about that closing. We talked about just kind of courses and things in general with that. Just a few other random topics here and there. I think we've got some topics coming down the pipeline that I think we're really excited about. We're probably going to have the Schicks of Trifox Disc Golf on to kind of talk about their disc golf journey and how one makes the jump from being, a player with a passion to a business owner. And then one of the other things that we're talking about is that we'll hopefully be talking about in the future is building a Disc Golf Hall of Fame from scratch. Who gets in, who's not, what category they go in, current players in disc golf, and if they're Hall of Famers based on their current resume. So that is one of the episodes that I'm looking forward to, because I think we'll have some healthy debate on some criteria of who's getting in, who's not in, those sorts of things.
Well, Joel Freeman lost his lock-in with winning USDGC. He just missed it.
Oh, darn.
I know you're disappointed about that, but
I'm heartbroken.
So, with that being said, I know you're gonna say Joel Freeman, but let's think outside the box here. Who do you compare yourself to when it comes to disc golf?
Physically, Emerson Keith, because I think we're like the both you laugh, but It's the truth. We're both tiny individuals. I'm like a couple inches taller than Emerson, so in that regard, but he just throws the disc a lot farther than I do because he has much better form. But I think just in terms of just like energy and just kind of my style, I would say kind of Kevin Jones, just because Kevin relies on to get, when he gets distance, he's relying on hyzer flips and trying to, get those distances. As I previously just mentioned, I don't have a ton of distance compared to Emerson. So to really get max distance, I got to rely on the disc to do what it does and, get a hyzer flip. I think I try and bring the same kind of level of energy to the course with whoever I play with as Kevin. Keep it light. Try not to be too hard on yourself. Obviously, you want to be I would try and be locked in a competitive round, but just kind of let the bad things kind of roll off you. Try and make friends and vibe with your card. And I think, seeing Kevin on like the skins matches with Calvin and other things, I think like that's sort of what I try to emulate when I play with my friends and other people.
Great. So I think there are two people that I usually try to compare myself to. So if I'm just going for big distance, believe it or not, I think of Drew Gibson, because he has a pretty unique power stance when he runs up and, when he hits that block, like at the front of his stance, all of his weight stops and everything goes into his throw. So it's very unique in that regard. And you'll see his kind of back foot kind of come up and trail. And I think somehow I picked that up. And I don't even watch him very often, but somehow I picked that up. But hey, it seems to work for him anyways, not for me so much. But and then the other one would be Paul Macbeth, of course. And I think I grew up in the era of some of the old school guys, the hyzer flip guys. And Paul was one of the first that kind of took that to a different level. And he added forehand to it. So he's kind of that generational gap, like you said. But I would say like putters, standstills, just trying to emulate his throw in general is how, and I'm not the only one in the world that does that. I think everybody does. Well, most disc golfers have at one point tried to figure out how he throws because he was so butter for a long, long time. And I think even now still, but I don't think he has as much control as he used to. So those are the two that I pick at. So
do
with that,
you?
go ahead.
I was gonna say now putting is very different than swing, right? Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you have a putting style similar to anybody on the pro tour?
So I have the 2019 putt of Paul Macbeth. Almost in every way, shape, and form, I tried to copy him. Like 18, 19, he had basically kind of that same where you kind of bring it down to your crotchal region and kind of explode from there. Almost same stance, almost same setup. And I think it just, you saw him on coverage so much. So when you go to emulate a spin putter or you think about a spin putt, that was the form that was always on my mind. So that's kind of where it went for me. Before that, I was almost primarily a straddle putter. But then I switched to a stagger putt, and that was that. So how about, and you said putter for you? Do you emulate someone putting
Yeah,
wise?
I mean, subconsciously, I do. I think I would say I'm pretty close to James, just in terms of that. I mean, he step putts. I step putt
Mm-hmm.
anytime I'm outside of the circle. I like a step putt, but also just kind of the way, like how he's kind of bringing his, how he brings the disc back to his, kind of his mid stomach is kind of where I'm at with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's kind of spushy with his putt, but he's
Right.
more spinny, but he's not like a hard
Mm-hmm.
spin like an eagle. Like when you watch eagle spin putt, like the chains are going to explode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but he's a more like James is more touchy, and I think that I'm kind of like that as well. Like it's it's not super hard. A little bit
Mm-hmm.
more control on the velocity.
Right, right, right. All right. So the follow up question to that is: so we know who you compare yourself to. What's the most sensible thing you've ever heard in disc golf and you still utilize today?
Who?
And I can go first if you would like me to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the most sensible thing I've ever heard in disc golf, and I want to say it was Chris Clemens who said it. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense. And it changed my game completely from that point forward. And this was back in the day, like Cool Daddy Slick Breeze was with DD, and they were
Yeah.
doing the whole like player interviews. And I want to say it was either Chris or Eric Oakley. 90% sure it was Chris, but he said that he tries to use the absolute slowest disc possible to get the job done. And then he went on to
Ooh.
explain that your margin of error is so much less when you throw a slower disc to do something that other people are throwing mid ranges, or like if you're throwing a putter and someone's throwing a mid range, if you hit a tree, that putter is going a lot less distance than a mid range would, or than a wide rim would. Or if you skip, that putter's skipping a lot less distance than, so your margin of error is so much smaller. So from that point forward, I I actually dropped everything out of my bag, and for 2 weeks I only played with a putter. And I think that's why I throw putter so well now. But
That is very good advice. The more I
mm-hmm.
think about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should start throwing more mids
Yeah.
than I do fairway drivers. Um, I mean, the funny answer is to what Calvin said and just blame everything but yourself.
I think exactly.
Um, I think
That's
just
just life lesson. You can take
that.
that as a life lesson, but
Yeah,
disc golf, more specific.
I think the one I don't remember who said it. But somebody once said there's no such thing as a half bid. You're either don't. There's no such thing as a half bid. You either go all in and try and run it, or lay up and play smart. Because half bids lead to dumb things. Like a half bid, you get a stupid roll away off the cage. Again, going back to what you said, margin for error by putting something on a half bid. Either try and run it and make the basket, or make it in the basket, or be smart and just lay up.
Right. So it's you got to get it up to put it in moment. Like, can't leave it short.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. But I think the other is like, don't do anything half-assed. Like you either go all in or not at all. Like,
give it a chance. Got to give it a chance. All right. Well, do we want to talk about why you suck?
Yeah. I mean, So I went out on Friday and played around at Pinecrest with the brew house guys at the brewery I work at, and not a big deal, but I won.
So hold on, are you like extremely better than most of those guys there?
Not extremely better than all. There's one of the guys that came to Putting League who you've probably talked to a couple times, who is the brewmaster and one of the owners of the brewery. He's been playing for like just as long as you have, and he's pretty good. I did beat him by 3 strokes, but he's pretty good.
No big deal.
No big deal. No, but yeah, I would say that the only reason why I kind of sucked is just that I was not doing great in the disc selection department, in just terms of accounting for. I didn't factor in a lot of things. Like, it was very windy and it was cold, and different plastic blends, just taking into account all these different things. And then I just thought I could, I recovered well, but just like off the tee, it was like, oh, I usually throw this when it's July and there's not a ton of wind, and then it's, fall. But
and it has been gross. Like 3 days ago, it just all of a sudden got cold. Like spring hit, fall hit like super hard. It was like 80 degrees to like 45, 50. It's nuts. Because you were walking around complaining about how you were like dehydrating and you had to stop at every place you could just to drink water. That one day you were walking around like Appleton or something like that.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago. I was in Appleton doing. For context, I am a beer sales rep for the brewery. So I was in Appleton, popping into accounts that buy our beer, accounts that don't buy our beer. But I'm walking up and down basically the downtown portion of Appleton, Wisconsin, and it's like 102, 109 with the heat index, and I was just dying. And then here we are 3 weeks later, and fall's finally around.
Exactly. Yeah, we're back to beanies, hoodies, and pants again. So, but this is one of my favorite times of year. I mean, I wish it was like 5 degrees warmer. Like if we were at the 55 to 60 mark, beautiful weather. But yeah, so I suck because I have kids and they take up a ton of time right now.
Is this so like is this family planning advice for anybody listening?
Well, no, I'll start off by saying I love every minute of it because there's really special time that I get to spend with each of my children. But it is just a lot of time. So my daughter is between 2 sports currently. So she's at that thing in Green Bay for softball. And then, so it's an hour and a half drive there. Practice is an hour and a half long, and then it's an hour and a half drive back. So, it's 4.5 hours just to go play softball for a little bit. And then she's also in volleyball, which is 5 nights a week. And she usually has 2 games, or 2 game days. And that's only for 1 more week. And then she has about a month and a half break. So I'll be able to get back out and start playing a bit more. But simply, I just, family takes priority over casual play, and that's what it is. So, but we are starting to prep. Got off the phone with Caden, and we are starting to prep for the Fall Classic. So kind of getting last minute sponsorships, and going to go cut some fields and print some hole signs, and just kind of get everything buttoned up and ready to go. So that's going to occupy a bit of my time. So that'll be my next week's Why Do You Suck? It's because I've been on a lawnmower and carrying baskets everywhere. So, but we're starting to get all that stuff kind of situated and ready to go. But I went through 21 of the 23 baskets we have and tightened all the cages down, tried to bend the things back that were bent. And I think we got 19 good solid baskets so far. So we have more than we need. And I got 2 more to go through. But yeah, it's coming along, and I'm excited to get the Fall Classic going. So now I need to sit down with the shop and figure out what we're going to take there, because the shop will be closed that weekend, but we'll be at a temporary spot at the orchards for those 2 days. So we'll be open Saturday in the shop at the regular spot, and then Sunday we'll be at the orchards. So that'll be nice. Yeah, so that'll be Why I Suck next week and the week after. And then, so I think outside of that, thrower, hanger, flipper, you buy anything?
I didn't buy anything, but I did get to putt with the candies. And I just want to say, I think that it might be my go-to putter for a very, very long time. I really love the softy blend from Clash. And I mean, obviously, if I'm putting with that, people should know I like a soft blend of putter. I like being able to kind of push my thumb in there a little bit, and then I just love the depth of it.
Have you thrown them yet, or are you not planning on?
I am not using them as a throwing putter. I just love the Envy too much as a throwing putter.
Sure.
So, yeah. So I'm just strictly putting with the candies, but been very, very happy with it. And I feel like people could probably say I'm probably just in the honeymoon stage with it right now, but like I got in like before, like over the course of the weekend, just when I've had some downtime doing other things, just gotten up some putts, got some putts up before that practice round with the guys. So I've probably putted with it probably like about 100 times, and it just feels great. So
that's awesome.
So very pleased with that.
That is very good. That's awesome. Well, that's good. Yeah. And head over. We don't have any in the shop yet. So Dortus.com does not have any, but we will. Just prioritizing some other larger purchases at this point. And then, but you can go over CoolDaddyDiscGolf.com.
Yes. Bobby's got every Clash molds and plastic. I think it's just the only thing you might run into is if you're looking for a specific weight or a specific color. I think that's really it. But last time I was on Bobby's site, he pretty much had everything, every mold. And then, he's also really good at being transparent about like, here's when I'll get the new runs of like the new releases. So,
yeah, he does a good job. He's really stepping up his game there with that. So good for him. I did not buy anything, but I have and I don't know if this is illegal to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I have a choice few hexes that I've set aside, the hexalotl Halloween jack-o'-lantern thingies. So I got a couple of those that I'm planning on buying, but I mean, anybody that knows me, if someone else buys them before I get to them, good. I would rather have someone else have them. Because if not, they're just going to sit on a shelf because I don't throw them. So just like the hexalotl, the original one, it's sitting on a shelf somewhere so that I can display and show off one day. But those are my plans to purchase. So next week, those will be my hangers that I will have purchased. So, because they do come out on the 11th, we do have them in the computer, and they will go live as soon as that clock turns the appropriate time. So keep an eye out, Dortus.com. We got quite a few of them too. I think everybody got quite a few of them. I don't know if they're going to be quite as crazy as the time lapses, but I'm sure they'll still move.
Sure. I'm sure they will, just given the axolotl craze and then, the stamps being cool. So,
Yep, exactly. And we do have some of the other holiday or the Halloween assortments as well. So, I've never understood the Halloween stamp craze. Like every company does them, and I don't know, maybe that's just me. There's very select few that I think are really cool, but I know there's a select few people out there that are like really Halloween addicts too. I'm just not a Halloween guy.
I just don't think that there's enough of a differentiation between the standard run of glow whatevers other than the stamp to justify some of it. The stamps are always cool if you're a collector, right? Like if you're kind of like a Mike Harrington-esque collector and you want to complete the lineup of like, oh, I want every single Halloween buzz or hex. I get that, right? But
right. Yeah, it's the when you yeah, it's disappointing when you bring in Halloween stuff and you sell like 3 or 4 of them to real diehard people, and everybody else is like, "Why would you put that?" I mean, I've heard people pick up disc and like, "Why is this on a disc? Like, who would buy some?" And you're like, "Well, a lot of people do actually, but I guess not enough of them because they're still sitting there."
Well, we're kind of doing the shop update section at the beginning, but the Berg X is left before you could even make a post.
Oh my, yeah, but that's how Castaplast is. Any of that first run stuff, I don't have to say anything. They're just gone. And it was funny because I was planning on purchasing one for myself. And so, like, I was working and I kept hearing, "Pachee, pachee, pachee, pachee." Like, I heard the Shopify stuff going off, and I'm like, oh, great. Like, I don't think I'm going to get it. And then finally, I had time to jump on and just like, "Hey, Kevin, is there another one?" He's like, "Nope." So, Kevin got one, but every other one of them went out. And we don't ever put limits on how many people can buy. So, there's a few that had 3 or 4 of them, but which seems weird to me. I'm sure I'm going to see them on the aftermarket, but I did see one go today for, I want to say it was like $94 or something like that on dollar disc golf auctions. It's just like, man. So
people love their Bergs.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's intriguing to me to have a Zoneberg, if that makes any sense. Like, that's kind of what it's supposed to be. It's intriguing. Like, I really wanted to throw one and try it out, but yeah, I guess lost my chance on that. Well, for the first runs, anyways. The stock runs are hopefully follow shortly.
You can always ask Kevin.
Yeah. And that's funny because he doesn't even throw a Berg. That's what's ironic to me. I know for a fact he doesn't throw Bergs, and he doesn't throw non-pink discs. So why did he buy one?
I got caught up in the hype.
Exactly. So, but you see all pretty shiny stuff. I mean, it makes sense when you're sitting in the shop. Why not?
So, absolutely.
All right, preview. It's going to be a short one. I'm going to say it. It's going to be a short one.
I don't know.
So we're just going to talk about Throw Pink, and we're going to talk USDGC, and we're going to talk maybe some controversy that may have come up in the FPO and Throw Pink. We'll talk winners of USDGC, and we'll talk about some people that were notably missing and why. And I think outside of that, we get into Ben's random question and shop updates. And spoiler alert, there's really not much. I've already kind of talked about all the shop updates, but I'll get into them. I'll just recap it at the very end. So with that being said, let's get into it. So Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, the major adjacent major, was played. And there is a controversial finish, but I was actually able to watch quite a bit of it. Sadly, while I was getting ready for church, and then I went to church, didn't watch it while I was in church, but driving down to church, I found out that I can just let my phone, I just turned my phone over and put it in my center console, and it would play over the Bluetooth, the sound. Like, so it was great. I was listening to it. And my kids were like, "What are you watching?" I'm not watching anything. And so my daughter grabbed the phone and was watching the last couple holes as I was driving back from church. And I was just like, I was amazed. And I got lucky enough that we were back home and I was able to chat with you over text for the last like 2 holes. And I got to see that whole shindig go down. I actually got to watch that part. USDGC, I didn't really get to watch a ton of it, just highlights again. And it sounded like it was fairly non-eventful for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Joel Freeman almost took it down. And
no.
I heard it. Ben said he would never play disc golf again if Joel Freeman won USDGC.
Did I say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know you did. I heard it.
Okay. Well, I did say words like the universe is righted itself.
Yeah, it was really funny. So Joel Freeman actually led the first 2 rounds after the first 2 days. And then on the third day, he kind of crumbled a bit. And I heard the sigh from 75 miles away. That's about how far Ben lives away from me. I heard him go, "Oh, fine," when he crumbled. So
yeah, you're not really wrong on that one. The failed magician.
So, but yeah, so we'll go into that. So let's talk Throw Pink Women's, and then you can talk USDGC.
Yeah, sounds
Does that
good.
work? All right.
Works.
So Throw Pink. So here is your spoiler alert in three, two, one. So awesome, awesome competition. No surprise at all. And I hate to say this out loud. Actually, I don't hate to say it out loud. It just sounds mean saying it out loud, but it's no surprise that Hannah and Evelina collapsed again. Um, but it is also no surprise that Tatar put up a 10 under in the third round to come back and just absolutely devastate Salonen. I think that's really what happened. She just got in her head.
Yeah.
But then Hannah and Evelina both had really kind of rough subpar rounds. Hannah's was a better round than Evelina's, but they both just kind of fell apart again.
I mean, you're right. Hannah had the better round. Looking at it right now, she was clean on the back nine, picking up 4 birdies. But then had 2 bogeys on the front and then 4 birdies. So Hannah put together actually a really decent round. Evelina's had a few hiccups. Nothing. I will say that over the course of the year, Evelina's just play has gotten so much better since Waco.
100 times better.
So
maybe not 100, but
pretty
just
good. some of the mistakes she was making weren't like complete air balls. I mean, she hit the cage a couple times from like 15, so nothing like super egregious where but again, to your point, the double on 17 for Evelina is really what did her in.
Right. Yep.
So,
well, and like I'll say it over and over again. If those two can clean up their inside circle, they are going to be the best players in the FPO division, hands down, because they are still keeping pace with GOAT conversations, that Kristen Tatar has, like being one of the most dominant players that have ever played FPO. We've had those conversations, and they're still keeping up with her in most instances.
I think the only thing that's just
putting green.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, and that's the putting green is the only thing that's holding Hannah and Evelina back from wins, because they were only 2 strokes off of Holland and Kristen, right? Yeah. So think about that. You clean up a couple over the course of 4 days. You just got to make one extra putt.
That's exactly it. Yep.
One dying quail over the course of another day, and you're just right there. 2 strokes. Right. That's it.
And I'm assuming that these ladies are putting in the work. They're putting in the time. There's just something there. And if they're not putting in the time, that's their fault. I mean, because for a fact that your weakest part of your game, because both of these girls can smash, and ladies, I'm not being derogatory or
no, yeah,
but both of these ladies can smash. Both of these ladies can hit lines. I mean, they have the game. They have the complete game minus putting. So, I mean, I don't know if it's just they need to spend more time or maybe they're overtraining. Who knows? But it seems to me that there's something missing there that they're not doing, because I know for a fact if I spent hours every night, if I had 100 putts every night in 2-3 weeks, I wouldn't miss. I mean, I'd be 9 out of 10 inside the circle. But I don't. And nor do I have the motivation to try to, put that amount of time in. But I would assume they do. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a lot of things in terms of just, you can really break down these 4 rounds for them, and a lot can be put on the putting green. But I think with that being said, though, that I don't want to call it mental, but just because it's really not, but just if you change up a couple of different parts of their game, or their approaches in or whatever, I think if putting is going to be the it factor for them, right? something else has to change. So what I'm getting at is like take away a lot of like the hard parts of some of these things. Like get yourself that extra 5 feet in on the green, because for them that 5 feet could be a huge
absolutely.
difference. I will say Evelina had James Proctor on the bag this weekend, and he was kind of
I did see that.
He was kind of the I don't want to say like the it factor for her, but like it was reported multiple times that like by like Nate Perkins and Brian that James was actually caddying her, like wasn't just like, "What's up, homie? I'm carrying your bag today." Like no, like he was actually caddying for her and trying to get
helping her out,
dial some stuff in.
So let's go through 1 through 10, and then we'll get back to talking about Holland and Kristen, and we'll talk a little bit of controversy, and then we'll move on to USDGC. So, once again, spoiler alert: 1, 3, 2, 1. So Holland Handley takes it down in a playoff over Kristen Tatar, both at 23 under, and the playoff went 2 holes. From there, tied for third is Henna and Evelina, and then fifth is Ella Hansen. Good for her, by the way. She just kind of overall, I think maybe nerves or inexperience got to her for the most part. Sixth is Missy Gannon. Seventh, Alexis Mandahano. Eighth is Sylvia Saranen. Ninth, Haley King. And then tied for 10th is Kat Murch and Eliezra Middling. Did I say that right?
Yep.
I got it pretty close. So, all right. So with that being said, a quick conversation about Ella Hansen. Good for her. Like, she was killing it out there. Lead card, final round. She came into the day third, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
And she didn't play bad. She
had 1 bad hole today.
Right. Yep. And she just didn't make moves. She put an 8 down on hole 12, and that was really that's it, because you get her and she's sitting solo third. If she pars it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. So, good for her. I love seeing her just slowly climb the ranks, and she's made splashes here and there, but she's becoming a more consistent face up in that, upper echelon. Missy Gannon's there, of course. Gannon the Cannon. So let's have a conversation about hole 17 and 18 and Holland Handley and Kristen Starr. So Holland goes into 17, and I'm just make sure I'm going to get my facts right here. So she pars 17, and moves on, looks at the scorecard as the story goes, and finds out that she has 2 strokes over her next closest competitor, who's Kristen Tatar. Kristen Tatar, at that point, Kristen Tatar was finishing up 16, which she birdied, and then moves on to 17, which she pars. So at this point, you look at it and you're just kind of like, it's just not going to happen. There's 0 chance that Tatar has any chance at all. Holland Handley, as Tatar is watching, Holland Handley tees off, and from all camera angles that were given, never makes it inbounds, hits a tree, drops, never touches the line, never crosses inbounds, and rolls away from the OB line. Everybody and their mother that was watching coverage was like, oh my goodness, she has to re-tee. And including us, who were going back and forth, because I would like to say that Ben was like, it's over. She's got this.
I did. I jinxed it. As soon as
well, you didn't because she still got it.
Yeah, but in theory, no, she shouldn't have. Right. But as soon as she stuck the 17th green, I was like, now she just has to get up and down for the last 2 holes. Like,
yep. Yeah, and it was easy, and to paint a picture, like, it was this just beautiful sidearm. And for anybody that's familiar with 18's Winthrop, at 18 on Winthrop, they tee off on the water basically, and they throw. If you don't throw a backhand, you're throwing over OB the entire way. And she just absolutely rips this forehand, probably 320, 330, and it was still moving. And it just gets this beautiful flight, stands up, rolls over just a bit, and starts to come back in. And it just catches these branches pretty high up in this tree, but clearly out of bounds, and drops straight down. As a matter of fact, it drops towards the OB line and then still never makes it in bounds, and then rolls back out, or rolls away from the OB line. So, like I said, everybody and their mother says for sure she has to re-tee. Holland Handley and the card decide that she's taking it from where it, air quotes, went out of bounds. So she takes it from the spot of where the disc hit the ground out of bounds, 300 and some feet advantage. Proceeds to almost within inches throw OB again. So throw her third, throws this choppy forehand that, kind of just stands up and starts working right immediately, and almost plays army golf, goes from the left OB to the right OB, puts herself in this super precarious position. She makes the up and down from there. So she takes a 6. And the whole time, everybody's like, you never made it in bounds. You never made it in bounds. But beautiful thing about disc golf, it's card consensus. So nobody else could say anything else about it. At the end, they say that the spotter said that it landed in bounds. The spotter was nowhere close to that disc and did not have the view to see that. And there's 2 of the 4 card mates confirmed that it went in bounds. So benefit goes to the player, and she took it. So,
I also heard that she just kind of like kept her mouth shut and didn't say anything. That? Holland.
Oh, yeah.
That she just wasn't saying anything and then waiting for whatever happened. And then this is obviously just all hearsay, but they were just like, she was just like waiting for them 2 people to be like, shoes in. And she's like, yeah, I think so too.
Right. Yeah. And, I guess I think of it in this regard. I said this on we'll get into Tatar's play. So she finishes the hole. Tatar steps up and just plays the textbooks, birdies it. So reduces that 2-stroke lead. Now they're tied. And after that, I said one of the most poetic things that Holland Handley could do is to give the stroke back in the playoff. So if she's going to win a hole, to just throw it at the base, drop it in, and then they can go on to another hole. So like at hole 2, she could have just thrown it at the base. Even if she was parked under the basket, she could have picked it up and just dropped it on the other side of the basket and just looked at Tatar and said, there you go. You gave me one, I give you one, and then go from there. I thought it would have been pretty cool because from where she was standing, there was very little chance, especially with all that pressure, that she didn't see it not hit out of bounds.
Right.
In my humble opinion. So I think she just took it and ran with it. Not that I'm questioning her character, but do you want to win the Throw Pink Women's under controversy?
Well, we didn't also get into the other thing on hole 15.
Oh, sure. Tell me. I didn't know about this. You just told me about
so
this.
I saw this on the Boss Nate Doss parody account on X, formerly known as Twitter. Somebody got the footage that on hole 15, Holland straddled out to make her putt towards the basket. Like it was an actual putt, not a layup. She straddles out, and her left foot is her lie. That is supporting her supporting point behind her lie. She straddled out and she putts, but she pushes off her right foot, so her left foot pops up off of and falls forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it's a foot fault in that,
right.
By all definition of the rule, she didn't have her supporting point behind the lie. Whatever
that sheet of paper was no longer behind her left foot. It was, or in front of her left foot. It was in front of her right foot, and her right foot was not the appropriate point where her disc was laying. So
correct.
Therefore, she pushed off, let's say 4 feet away from where her lie was.
Yeah.
So she wasn't within that sheet of paper.
Yeah, and the new rules say that that's a stroke. That's not even
Mm-hmm.
it's just a stroke. It's not even a warning
Yep.
anymore. So there's another, yeah. So there's another one that you know.
So let's.
I was just gonna say I don't think that like this event was riddled in controversy,
Oh
but
no.
it's like not. But if you're Holland though, it's like I don't know. We'll see. Well, the future will tell if this is going to be like there's going to be some doom and gloom that hangs on over her for this event, but I don't know.
I don't think there will be because everything was within the rules, so she did
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
No,
I'll go out and
100%.
say that.
100%. I don't think
Per
so either.
PDJ rules, everything was up and up, and in reality, there is no controversy. The only
Correct.
controversy is the controversy we're making because that's what we need to do as a podcast, and not we don't need to, but we just need to have that discussion.
Well,
And
if the
what's more
DGPT
exciting?
can create storylines, so can we.
Exactly. Fortunately, ours has a bit of basis to go with instead of just randomly creating stats. But with that, I don't take anything away from Holland. And as a matter of fact, I'm a huge fan of Holland, and we're constantly, hyping her up. So when we talk about Holland, like I'm super excited that Holland won. I feel a little less excited that Tatar lost. I mean, I guess probably more disappointed that Tatar lost than excited Holland won, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have rather seen Tatar win, being that she felt a bit like an underdog in that scenario because of those controversial that particular controversial issue. So,
I
but
do
with that
just
being said, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say I wonder we'll never know, but it's like because there was a backup and Kristen's watching this tee off, like I wonder what's going through her
Mm,
head when she's just like, okay, well there's so many eyes here. I'm like,
right,
just
right.
kind of the thought process of
She
how she
was
feels because she doesn't have any say in anything, but she has to sit there and
mm-mm,
watch this card, discuss this, and then watch them all
exactly.
go up the fairway. And even though we know now that if Kristen felt that she didn't go in bounds, that's what we are led to believe is the correct call. And then to watch that just not get made in front of you might be pretty tough to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And then when you finally conquer a hole that you've been struggling on all week, I think for Tatar that was the case. I mean, she bogeyed it 2 days, parred it one day, and then she birdies it the last day. So that's awesome. Good for her. Yeah, every every camera angle that I saw um, in the time that I was watching, she was kind of happy go lucky in the background, sitting under the tent, just BSing with everybody. So I don't think I don't think she has any ill will towards her. I mean, you win some, you lose some. I feel like she probably deserved to win that one, but um, not the way the rules work.
Yeah,
And we can talk about it again. I can understand why there's no need for marshals and a
I
different
just yeah.
different system.
No, I agree. I don't think that she has any ill will, but I think that there's just enough
No.
competitive fire in her that she's just like it's just like oh what the heck kind of type of
Right.
moment,
Right. So a coach once told me or told our team that if you don't want the rules to decide the game, play better. So, and specifically, he said if you don't want the refs to decide the game, play better, and don't make it that close of a game or close of a call. So
You know,
if we would have had 3 more touchdowns and they would have called that one back, we still would have won by 2. Same thing with Tatar. If she would have had 4 more strokes and they would have given Holland that one or those 2, she still would have had 2 strokes on her. So you get into that, and that's kind of that tough love, but it is what it is. Play
yeah,
better, and that wouldn't come into question. It wouldn't matter what anybody did. So, and she had the ability. I mean, she played 10
yeah,
under the day before. So, and speaking of 10 under, what a heater of a round, even with a double bogey.
yeah.
Like, that's incredible. Oh, just a single bogey, excuse me. But still, 10 under. What a heater. So, all right, let's get into USDGC. You can take the lead on this one.
All right. So I got a chance to watch. I followed along and then watched highlights for rounds 1 through 3. Today I got a chance to watch all the final round. Spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. Kyle Klein taking it down over Bradley Williams. It made it much closer at the end than it needed to be. At one point, Kyle had an 8-stroke lead over the field, but he ends up winning the event with a 27 under. Bradley finishes 26 under. Really, what it came down to is that Kyle took a triple on 18 and a bogey on 16, which made it kind of closer than it actually was. But finishing tied for third place, Isaac Robinson and Simon Lazat, and tied for fifth place. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and Isaac Robinson putting up a heater and coming up 10 spots.
Yeah, with the 10 under. 10 under today. In fifth place was Calvin Heimberg and the failed magician, Joel Freeman. Tied for seventh place, Nicholas Antala and Aaron Gossage. In ninth place, Eagle McMahon and Chris Clemens. So they will be exempt for next year's USDGC. So all those folks, and then Kyle Klein exempt for life now. Notables, Ricky Wysocki finishing in 11th place. So because he is still not a USDGC champion, the one that seems to haunt him the most, he will have to earn his way in just like everybody else for 2024. Other notable USDGC winners, Evan Smith tied for 15th.
Well, yeah, I was just talking Evan Smith is a notable. Isn't he the 15-year-old or something like that?
Yes, he's very young, but he finished and tied for 15th. But I was just looking at other USDGC winners in the past. Chris Dickerson in 20th, James Conrad in 24th, Gannon Byrne 27th, Big Germ with a DNF. He tore his meniscus.
Oh, that sucks.
So he is out. Barry Schultz in 57th.
Did the champ actually throw a disc on a hole?
He played in the skins match.
Yeah, he did play in that.
But he didn't play in the actual tournament.
He didn't actually start in the tournament. Okay.
No. And then rounding out the former USDGC winners, fittingly tied in 79th place. Actually, that's not true. Rounding it out. Nate Sexton and Will Schusterick tied for 79th.
Isn't Brinster a USDGC winner?
I don't think so. I'm looking right now.
Brinster was for some reason.
Well, you got to take away if he didn't win in that weird year. What was that, 2011 or 2012? I don't know. Dave Feldberg. Okay, so this is the list of unique winners for USDC. Ken Climo, Barry Schultz, Dave Feldberg, Nate Doss, Nico LaCastro, Will Schusterick, Steve Brinster.
Yeah,
there he is. Macbeth, Coling, Sexton, Conrad, Dickerson, Burr, and then now Klein.
Nice. All right. Well, that is awesome. I don't have much to say about it. I didn't watch barely any of it. Like I said, I just watched highlights, and it didn't even seem like there was a lot of really crazy highlights. I mean, other than Kyle Klein basically wire to wire.
Yeah, Kyle Klein basically, was in the driver's seat for most of the event. Like I had mentioned, he had a very sizable lead that did kind of shrink on the last 3 holes due to the triple and the single.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think he went down that way?
Nerves.
Yeah, I see. I think so too. I think he's still fairly young. What is he, 20? 19, 20?
He's 20. He's got 2 elite wins, but never a major. I think having somebody in your ear saying you just got to get up and down is like the worst thing you can say to somebody, because then they feel the pressure of just getting up and down. Yeah, just a couple of errors, went out of bounds, obviously he won, so it's the scorecard doesn't tell any stories, right? Like that's kind of the old adage, but I think it was really just nerves, that you're X amount of feet away from essentially your disc golf life and probably a lot of your life actually changing, just the monetary things that come with being a major champion. Um, yeah, that's all I really think it is. I think the only highlight is that on hole 17, back-to-back guys hit the cage on that lead card. So, but yeah, congrats to Kyle Klein. Congrats to Holland Handley on winning your major and major adjacent. And that wraps up our majors.
Simon Lizotte having a sneaky good year. I mean, it's just one of those, like, just right up there. Anytime he's really playing, he's kind of right there. So.
Yeah, real quick, what I want to mention is my pick for most improved is still going to be Matt Oram. He had a pretty good finish, 12th.
Yep.
So I still think that he should be the most improved player. He's got he's got a silver win, an elite win, and a bunch of top 20 finishes.
Yep. And he's just cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the one notable that I want to talk about is the Beast. Macbeth was not here. And there was no big to do about him, why, or anything. It's just one small post. And I want to say it was an Instagram post or maybe even a Twitter post. Just of him being like, oh man, I miss not being here. But this is cool. I'm glad. And I'm proud of X, Y, and Z. I think it was kind of how it went. But no mention of why. So we have speculation. And I think it's really just he's hurt and he has a baby coming. So, and hey, before we joke around, or Ben jokes around about Joel Freeman a bit, but they're going to have a baby pretty soon too, like in January or something like that. So congratulations to them and hope all is going to go well for them. So
yes,
prayers and thoughts for him, at least on my side.
I don't wish any ill will against the man. I hope nothing bad happens to him. I just don't like him as a disc golfer. Every sports fan has people they actively root against because they're on the other team or like there's just something. Every good sport,
like me and Paige Pierce.
I'll get into that here in a hot second. Every good sport needs a villain, and mine just happens to be Joel Freeman. We brought up Paige. I was just gonna say I think the FPO field is missing Paige. Paige is. She's another one in the bunch, and unfortunately, if Katrina Allen's going to not really be relevant, somebody else has to be in the mix to push. And I'm not saying that, like, the Ellas and the Hollands aren't pushing Kristen, but having Paige, who's been on the biggest of stages and won the biggest of events, adds another something to the FPO field. So I hope she's back timely in 2024.
I hope so too, and I hope she brings back Paige of old. I hope she can step up and start playing and have the desire to win. So, Macbeth, do we have anything else to say about Macbeth other than good luck with the baby and? It sucked not to see him there, honestly.
Yeah, I alluded to this when we were kind of chatting off the recording a bit of just kind of like what I said about Tiger Woods. A couple of years ago, Tiger had basically said that he's only playing tournaments or events that he thinks that he can win. And obviously Tiger and Paul are very different stages of like their careers, right? Like Paul still has at least 3 to 4 years left of like being able to do a full tour, really grind it
out.
Good
solid play.
But I think what I'm getting at is like Tiger being injured leads to that. Paul being injured leads to this kind of right now, that he wasn't going to play in USDGC if he didn't think in his heart of hearts that he had a legit shot to win, knowing the mental and emotional and physical like toll it was going to take on him by playing injured, and just the risk of if something happened to him, especially with baby Macbeth coming, right? Like of delaying a 2024 start if you were going all out for something and you truly didn't believe that you had a shot playing injured.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's really all I have to add to kind of that take.
No, I think it's good. I understand why he's, kind of laying low a bit and trying to, because it was, is this elbow this time?
I don't remember, but
okay. Because I know he's had a rough couple tournaments and he just hasn't been himself. He has some pains, and he's old, and as some people, I mean, most people listening to this are disc golfers, so they're going to understand that disc golfing is actually very taxing on a very select few group of muscles, and they can get worn out real quick. And I think, he's been playing at such a high level for so long that he's had to go through so many different changes in form and, the way he throws and workouts and, nutrition and all that different stuff just to keep himself healthy enough to continue to play at the level that he's been playing at. And in reality, how long can someone go on for that plays at that high of a level and throwing as hard as you can and taxing these certain types of joints and muscles? I mean, it's rough. It's rough.
I think one of the things from Macbeth that I think that we are also forgetting about, and I was just thinking about this because, the Disc Golf Network has been promoting some of their, I'll call them unscripted docu-series types of things throughout the off season, including like the one with the McCease courses, but also his trip to Europe.
Right.
That is a physically demanding trip. Like, yes, he's, traveling distances that he would travel in the US, but like you're doing that pretty much solo. He was doing that pretty much solo. Like Hannah wasn't around. He didn't have a touring really partner. Like, yeah, Bradley Williams went over there for a little bit, but like, he wasn't over there
relying on his connections is all.
Yeah, and like doing immigration and customs in every single country he went to because he's not a EU resident, right? Like, like because the Finns and the Estonians, like they all can get in and out of these countries easily because they all hold passports of, Paul doesn't have that luxury. So like, it's just a lot. And like that amount of travel obviously can take a very large toll and burden on you. So I mentally, like, I don't want to critique mentally, but like, cause I don't think that that's it, but also mentally that is like, Paul could have just been mentally burned out. Like he could have just been like, just not in it right now,
Right. And that is a thing. I mean, there is a level of exhaustion that you can hit doing something you love too. I mean, and when it becomes a livelihood, a job, an expectation, I mean, when all those burdens happen to fall in one place and at the wrong time, then, sometimes that happens. And especially when you're hurt, you're playing hurt, you have a baby on the way, you want to be there. And I think he's making the right choice. I mean, if family and children are number one, and I know he does have a priority, especially with the millions of dollars that he is making throughout his contract, but I think he's just making the right choice. And I think I think there's a certain level of reality to what you say. And not to mention, he does all of the Paul Macbeth Foundation stuff. I mean, he's traveling to other countries as well outside of Europe and getting all that stuff, so he's a busy man, and I'm sure he's loving every minute of it, but it's taxing. So, hope to see him back happy and healthy as well next year. So hopefully Pierce and Macbeth are back. So speaking of being back, random question, Ben, we are back for another one.
Have you ever two parts? Have you ever thought about your own mortality?
Yes.
Okay, so what would your last meal be?
Oh, geez. So I had. I don't know if I should say this on air. No, I'm not going to say the product on air. So I was consuming a beverage and non-alcoholic, like you can find it in the soda cooler. I was consuming a beverage that for almost 9 months I was completely convinced, and I for about 4 months I didn't say a word about it, because it's a man thing. You feel something and you're like, I'm not gonna say anything, and then I finally just went to the doctor. And I was like, there is something going on, and it was in my chest. I thought I was having heart attacks. Like, I thought I was literally having a heart attack. I'm like, I am 39 years old. There is zero chance, and this was when I was 39. There's zero chance I'm having a heart attack. Like, I've never had a bad bill of health. Yeah, like, I go into the doctor and they're like, you're awesome, just fat. And that's it. I mean, they said, yeah, hey, you can lose a couple pounds, but everything's healthy. You're well within normal range, actually on the lower end of the normal range. And I kept getting the same story when I would go in to the doctor. They're like, you're fine. Blood work's fine. Everything's fine. Did stress tests, like went to the hospital and like ran on a treadmill, like did all these things, like put myself through some weird stuff and thousands of dollars worth of tests. I was drinking this beverage and one day I finally went back in. I was like, I'm still having these pains in my chest and I don't understand what's going on and I can't figure it out. There's no rhyme or reason of why. And the person goes, are you drinking like energy drinks? And I was like, yeah, I drink one a day and this is what I drink. And she goes, try stopping that. Within 2 days, I haven't had a single one since, and I haven't had a chest pain since. So that really, like, I really thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to go to sleep one night, have a heart attack in my sleep, and never wake up.
Throw someone under the bus. What is the energy drink?
It was Bang. Energy drink.
There it is.
And I drink the Celsiuses now. No issues whatsoever. Zero issues. But yeah, so there you go. Anyways, I'll probably get sued for that. But yeah, so if I were to do my last meal, and this is going to sound so like white trash, because you can have anything you want in your last meal.
Absolutely.
Like, there's some really creepy stuff. But I would probably have like a 3-course, and it would be a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner.
Fair.
And I would start out with biscuits and gravy.
Okay.
And I would go on to a hot chicken sandwich.
Any particular one?
If I'm going to die.
Any particular one?
Mama Nem's probably.
Ooh, what's that?
So Mama Nem's is a small southern soul food place in Orlando, Florida.
Fair enough.
And I want to say that's where I had like one of the best hot chicken sandwiches I've ever had in my life. And it was beautiful. It was like utopic. Like it was hot, but it didn't like kill my taste buds. I could still eat it. Like it was awesome. It was awesome. And then I would probably finish it off with tacos. And I don't care what type of tacos, as long as they're not fish or shrimp. Like
flour or corn?
Corn, no doubt. Corn, and I if they're American style or just
now you got me thinking about the tacos in Vegas.
Weren't those good? What was that place
Tacos
called?
El Gordo.
Yes, dude, these were so good. Every one of them were. I had every. Oh,
those are life-changing tacos.
Oh yeah. So if anyone's ever in Vegas, go to Tacos El Gordo, and there's 2 or 3 locations. There's one right at the end of the strip, which is the one we went to.
Yeah,
did we go to both?
No,
we just went to the municipal course.
We just went to the one off of the strip.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of locations. I just don't. I'm unfamiliar with the area to let anybody know as to to where.
So there's one actually, but it's pretty near Sunset Park, and that's kind of the newest one. It's kind of at the end of the strip near Sunset Park, the airport. It's like right in that area. And then there's another one that's over by the municipal night golf course, which is kind of northish Vegas. It's on the north side of Vegas. But if you go to the municipal night course, there's Tacos El Gordo. And it's like in this old, that's the original one. I think it's the original one. And that's the old one that's in like this old rundown gas station. But it's beautiful. It is so good. And I don't know if they've remodeled it or anything since, but it's so good. So good. So Yeah. Anyways. Okay. What about you, Ben?
Um, so I'll mirror off of you, going with three courses. I think I would go uh breakfast tacos. It doesn't matter
Mm.
where, just a good breakfast taco, specifically egg, potato, salsa verde,
Mm.
chorizo. Gotta have them all in there. That's kind of my breakfast taco of my dreams. Um, really, really good, authentic Indian, like a curry, I think is
Mm-hmm.
definitely in there. Like a tikka masala. Love Indian food. Try and seek it out wherever I can. Um, but then for dessert, I'm going with
You
toff.
didn't do dinner yet. You just went with lunch.
Oh, I did
Breakfast, lunch, no
breakfast,
dinner.
lunch.
We're skipping dinner? Come on, it's your last dinner.
Korean barbecue.
Okay, okay.
Going Korean barbecue for dinner, and then for dessert, I'm going toffee. I like toffee,
Like
like Heath bar toffee.
hard toffee. Toffee. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Respect. So are you like a brittle guy too? You like
Yes.
peanut brittles and things like
Yes.
that?
Yes. Absolutely.
I just threw away some peanut brittle that was sitting forever, which usually makes peanut brittle better because it's a little more sticky. But I brought it back from Georgia. We were
Mm,
driving through Georgia, and like there was this lady making these giant peanut brittle. I mean, like the size of a pizza peanut brittles. They were
nice.
so good, and she just had them like stack up next to her stand. It was awesome because we stopped for boiled peanuts, and then I saw the
Ooh,
peanut brittle, and I
that's
let the
right.
kids get boiled peanuts, and then I got the peanut brittle. So, um, all right, awesome. So, what was the mortality point that you brought up that
Oh,
made you think of it, or just you're just one of those guys that thinks about mortality?
eh. I think it's healthy to think about your own mortality and the decisions you're making to like
Sure, sure.
figure out if you're going to put yourself into an early grave or not.
Like when you go skydiving, should I or should I not wear the parachute? One of those things.
Well, if at first you don't
Because it's still
succeed,
skydiving. It's just whether you're going to be able to do it again.
well, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? So, all right, shop updates. The 11th, we got all the Halloween stuff from MVP dropping. So that's really the big update. I don't think there's really much else. I mean, jump on the website. And like I said, everything brand new goes right on that front page. So you can scroll through that, but go ahead and search. It's really easy to search. We have them by manufacturer, disc type, and, uh, and product. So, and at one point or another, we will start getting weights in there. We are taking all of our discs, any new discs that we have are all scaled and photoed with the scale in it. So you can actually see what the weights are. So, with all of that being said, any inspirational message that you need to leave us on?
No. SpongeBob mac and cheese is back. So
Oh, that's good to know. That is
it's one of the better
good to
shapes of
know.
mac and cheese. Yeah.
All right. All right. Hot Cheeto mac and cheese is garbage, by the way. It is so hot, you can't even eat it. It's so hot. So I will reiterate you can skydive with or without a parachute. Just one you're only going to do once. With that said, in the immortal words of JP, which we'll see next week, deuces in the toilet. Peace out and keep it subpar. And stop.